I need to start this recording. We are recording this meeting. And as we have been doing with all meetings, we will be posting materials on the Ready by 5 Millage portal. So you will find today's presentation, and you will find slides, and if there's additional information, we may do a summary sheet that might be helpful that we'll post there as well. And just real quickly to let you know who you'll be hearing from today, you'll be hearing from myself. Hi, I think you all know, I'm Heather Boswell, and we will have Katy Cortez, our financial analyst, on to talk through some of the invoicing pieces. We'll have Tyler, our data guy, here to talk through some of the data pieces, and then we'll have Christine joining us to talk through some additional updates and kind of some future pieces that we have in the works that you'll see in future meetings. So with that, we'll get going. So we find ourselves in these interesting times with the COVID-19 situation. You know, everybody knows this. March, April, we had the shelter in place announced, and it has been extended. And I don't think anybody really knows what to expect next. So we are, we'll find out hopefully soon. But in the meantime, it is a challenging environment to provide services. And, First Steps Kent, we fully acknowledge the challenges that you guys are facing in providing in-person services, meeting your contractual obligations, and, being able to keep what is essentially brand new services for most service providers running, or continuing to scale and ramp up as we had anticipated everybody would be before COVID-19. So as you recall, in March, we announced to everybody that we would be allowing service providers to invoice for the maximum amount, which we refer to as if the 1/12 or 1/10 of your contract, depending on when your contract start date is, asking that these funds be used to cover the costs directly related to Ready by 5 programming, specifically hiring new staff or sustaining current employees that had been hired already, and also just supporting the startup of these new programs. So here we are in May, and it is uncertain how long this is going to go on. And we do want to continue to support services. So we are encouraging service providers to continue to deliver modified services. There have been home visiting programs, navigation programs, for example, that have been able to transition to a virtual model. And by all means, we encourage that to continue reaching families through the telephone, through those online platforms, any way that you've been successful in doing that so far. And beginning May 1, we are introducing some additional broad rates for all service providers. So these are outside of your agreement And the only reason why they are being offered is because of the circumstances. This is a time like no other that many of us have seen, and the feasibility of fully invoicing for the services in the agreements is not possible. It's also very important that we are reaching families and providing supports that we can provide at this time, which look differently than they did a couple of months ago. So we are introducing 4 rates. There is the professional development participation rate. There is the online information training and information development rate. There is the early development activity delivery rate, and there is the family support rate. So a few additional details around these. Your agency may invoice for these rates, but only for Ready by 5 funded employees. We are also requiring that service providers continue to follow current CDC recommendations for social distancing while delivering services. And these rates will remain in effect until COVID-19 restrictions are rolled back enough that services can resume as originally intended. So we will give notice. We'll give everybody a minimum of 10 business days in advance when these will be discontinued. But these will be the new normal as long as we continue to live in this new normal. So we'll get into some more details around each of these. So the first rate is professional development participation, and Ready by 5 will offer reimbursement for staff participating in professional development activities. So we are defining these activities very broadly. We are including early childhood seminars, lectures that might be happening online or may have been pre-recorded. We are including equity and inclusion seminars or lectures, program-specific training. So if your specific model requires certification or specific classes or training happen before an individual can work in that model, this would include that as well. We are including Ready by 5 technical assistance and meetings, and then just other general coursework in early childhood development. Because so many individuals that are working in these newly funded programs are new, there is an opportunity to train and offer the opportunity for new staff in these programs to engage in professional development. The second rate is online information training and information development. And we are offering agencies the opportunity to develop with experts in their own agency, an opportunity to develop an online session. So this could be a live session, this could be a recorded session, this could be written, this could be recorded. We're being very flexible with the format. And it's an opportunity to curate information that can be targeted towards parents. It can be more specific to early child care providers, early childhood staff. We are asking that the presenter, whoever is kind of the expert that's being featured in this type of information, be credentialed in whatever they're presenting in, or have some training and expertise, some level of expertise in the topic. And also that information come from reputable best practices that are backed with some sort of evidence and research. So we're asking that all material be available for use by Ready by 5 service providers, and we will begin to curate a library on the website that will make this information available to all Ready by 5 providers. So there is a $75 an hour rate, and we are asking that all projects be approved before they move forward, and kind of an estimate of time be included with that. So the third rate is for early development activity delivery. And we are hearing from parents that there's a lot of online content, but it would be helpful to have actual activities, more hands-on, that would be available to their children. So we are offering the opportunity for service providers to invoice for delivery. That could be mailing or in person, or door-side drop-off of different activities. And again, leaving this very broad, just making sure that the activities are appropriate for the age and developmentally appropriate for the children that you're serving. And you may invoice $50 per household delivery for this service. The fourth and final rate is the family support rate. And this is having Ready by 5 funded staff do outreach to families and connect with families to provide support. So this could be by text, video call, telephone, and we are open to other communication platforms as well, if you propose them. And the purpose is to reach out to families, to reach families, and determine if they need supports related to housing, food, or other social determinants of health. Reaching out and enrolling a family in a Ready by 5 service. So it could be a virtual service today, or enrolling them in a future service once they do become reestablished. Enrolling them in digital prompts for early learning information program, and we can provide some more information about that. Connecting to resources for ASQ screenings and activities supporting development. Connecting to information related to early childhood. Offering time to troubleshoot with benefits and accessing services. So this could be Medicaid. This could be if your agency feels qualified to take on unemployment benefits, any benefits, access to benefits that families might be needing to newly access because they have not had to use it before, or even continuing benefits if they're running into snags. And connecting the family with emotional well-being information and resources for the parent or child. So the rate is $75 per family reached and provided support. And there is an increased rate for families that are reached and require external translation services. So this is intended for times when external interpreters, such as liaison linguistics, are required, not if you have a fluent language speaker on your staff. So this rate could be reaching families that are not currently enrolled in your service. So its intent is for agencies to reach all families with children under the age of 5. And there's no requirement that they be enrolled in your services long term either. We're also asking service providers to consider partnering with other agencies. So an example could be one agency, as they are providing this family support, also offer the connection to another agency that would be dropping off the activities. So working together to get as many of these supports out to families as possible. So the data requirements are a little bit different. For services provided as outlined in your service provider agreement, the monthly and quarterly reporting requirements will continue as is. So if you are providing a virtual home visit, you will need to continue to collect data and send that as described in your service provider agreement. So if you are billing for any of the COVID-19 rates, though, that data is different. We're not asking that child and family level data be sent for these services, and we'll walk through the specific requirements for each rate in the next slides. So rate 1, we have the professional development, and we are asking that you submit with your invoice a list of activities that your staff complete and the names of the staff that complete those. And we are asking that you maintain on file certificates or documentation, more specifics documentation of these activities. So this could be a certificate that oftentimes individuals may receive when they complete a training, but if that is not offered, we would need the supervisor or manager to document and sign off that the activity was completed. For the second rate, we would need to make sure that projects were approved prior, and you can submit your proposed topics and estimated time to complete each project to Megan Strang. Submitted with the invoice, we would need a link or a copy of the work with tracking of the time to complete the project, and also the names of staff that were involved with the project. And also, it's very similar what you would keep on file, just tracking of time. There wouldn't be any additional requirements to be maintained by the service provider. So for the third rate, the early development activity, we would ask that you submit with your monthly invoice the number of children that you reached by zip code, the names of the staff that were involved in developing or delivering materials, and a written description of the materials. We would ask that you maintain on file more specifics, like the name of the family or the child that received the activity, and when they were delivered, and who helped develop them and who helped deliver them. So that information would stay with your agency, and we'll be looking at that at the annual compliance review. So please do hold on to it, but it does not need to be sent to First Steps Kent. Only the information in the yellow grid would need to be submitted. And finally, for the family support, again, it would be the number of children reached by zip code, the names of staff providing support, and similar to the previous rate that would be maintained on file by you would be the more specifics, the name of the child reached, who was providing the support, the type of support, and if external translation services were required or not. So a few additional details. Rates are effective May 1st. Service providers may only invoice for staff positions that are funded by Ready by 5, Early Childhood Millage. And these positions are listed in your service provider agreement statement of work. Also something to consider, service providers may not invoice for more than one rate per encounter. So an example of this would be if your agency is providing a virtual home visit or a navigation unit, you cannot also invoice for a family support service, even though there's some similarities in that connection and the giving of information and resources. You need to either bill for the home visit or for the family support service. And the family support service is intended for families who are receiving that type of support outside of the home visit or the navigation service. So if they're not already receiving these type of support services, they would probably fall under the family support service rate. And families reached do not need to be enrolled in Ready by 5 services to receive services. I think we mentioned that. So if you have specific questions related to the staff that are listed in your agreement, please reach out and we can talk through it with you guys. Okay, with that, I'm going to introduce Kati, who will take us through the invoicing piece. Let me see if I can find Kati.
I'm here.
Oh, great. Okay. So let me know when you want me to advance the slides, and I'll let you take it away.
Okay, thank you. And good morning, everybody. So for invoicing, we are asking service providers to first use the unit rate reimbursement form that, if it's possible for you to bill us using your original service. And you are already familiar with this template, like in the sample on your right. Invoices for these services must be submitted following a Ready by 5 invoice schedule and process. And of course, the deadline for invoices remained the same. In the next slide, you can see a different invoice template. This is in case you cannot use your original service. This is the invoice form to use for the coded service rates, and I will send this form to each service provider this week. It follows the same format that the previous one. You will need to enter, depending on the service, either the total amount of hours or families or household reach each month, and that will calculate the total amount to be reimbursed. There will be situations when service providers can use both forms, the original unit rate and the special COVID rates. So in that case, you will need to submit the two reimbursement templates, but the total invoice cannot exceed the 1/12 or 1/10 of your monthly amount. Documentation is required as described for each service when submitting invoices, and as we talked before, that will be the date of the activity and name of the staff that completes the activity. And additional documentation regarding child and family information will be reviewed at the annual assessment. The next slide. It will be the fiscal year calendar of deadlines. And that's to submit invoices that will be already established with the deadlines. You already have this information. So that's it. If you have any question regarding invoices, please let me know. Christine, if you want to talk about the Ready by 5 updates.
Thank you, Kati. Hello, everybody. Aloha Monday. We have a couple of updates for you in relation to everything. So Heather, go ahead and please go to the next slide. So the anticipated service provider manual. So we have been working on this the last several weeks, maybe the last several months, piece by piece. And so we are actually in final review. We have some last minute formatting that we need to review, but we will have this manual go to the First Steps Kent board for review, and also, of course, our colleagues at the county. So this updated version will eventually find itself on the Millage portal, along with all the other documents you all are familiar with locating in that portal. So in general, what we did was we finalized the data policies. As you know, Heather has been working hard to update the data policies, working with Tyler, the intake and consent policies that were in development, as you saw in the previous version of the manual. So we're going to include those as well. I mentioned we were improving the formatting. So we'll be, you'll see some nice improved changes there. You'll be able to find everything. We've tried our best to consolidate sections. And then we've also made sure that the language was also consistent. So some of the language that you found in your service provider agreements are also going to be consistent in the manual as well. And then we'll also make sure that these updates are also in a summary table. So we're going to have a summary of changes so you can identify the sections that have been consolidated, things that have made, like the policies, listed. So you'll be able to see that also in the service provider manual. Heather, go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay. So a quick update regarding the compliance assessment. We've decided to go ahead and schedule the assessments for this fall. Given everything that we are all going through, and with all of the changes that we'll probably be seeing in several months, it'll probably be more manageable for all of us to have the service provider annual assessments in the fall. And we've talked about these during the orientation meetings. So Katya and I, as you know, will tag team. We'll do the she'll do the financial assessment. I'll do the programmatic side of things. And so we'll be hopefully getting in touch with everybody in August to kind of do a pre-assessment meeting so you know what to anticipate when we start going into September, October, when we start planning for these meetings and on-site visits in the future. So another update, and not necessarily with the compliance assessment, but we decided to throw that in there, was also, we will be getting in touch with everybody to go over your timelines and your implementation plans. So we'll be in touch with everybody, hopefully in July, regarding those updates. And we'll start reaching out to everybody, of course, earlier than that in June, so we can schedule these meetings and revisit everybody's timelines. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Christine. Is Tyler on the line? Might be having some technical.
Yes, Heather, I am here.
All right. I'll have you take it away and let me know when slides need to be advanced.
All right, yeah. So everybody, I'm going to give you kind of the latest data updates that we have when it comes to Ready by 5 and just some different things related to, obviously, with the COVID-19 pieces. So biggest thing right now that we want you all to be focusing on is your data share agreements. So we're hoping that you guys get the chance to review and sign those, hopefully by the 15th of this month. And if possible, that'd be great if you could get it earlier. Biggest thing is once that's reviewed and signed, that you send that over to the email that you see before you, the readyby5@firststepskent.org email. That way we can get a chance to get that reviewed as well, get that over to the county and get those signed so we can get data flows to begin hopefully as soon as possible. And we'll kind of get more into that of what the data flow is going to be looking like with the new COVID-19 schedule. So another piece as well is the consent language. So we're hoping that you guys can get that done a little bit before the end of this month as well, by May 29th. And if you can't get that implemented by then, we really ask that you guys let us know, and let us know, and we'll try to figure out what we can do best to work with you. And then any questions with that consent language as well, feel free to reach out to myself. That's Aman, A-M-A-N, @firststepskent.org, like you see there. And yeah, if we can get everything done by then, we'll all be in great shape. And I think that's the two main things that we really want to focus on for this month in terms of the data work. Obviously, you guys are doing a little bit different work with the new rates. But the other thing too as well is just making sure that we're still trying to collect the data if we are doing our regular work. So Heather, if we can go to the next slide. Yes, so this is kind of the new deadline piece and how we're kind of going to be working with it. So as I previously mentioned as well, May 15th is hopefully the day that we can get your data share agreement signed and submitted, and get those submitted to us at the email that we just talked about. We're hoping that by June 5th, those data share agreements will be executed by the Kent County Health Department. And then by June 15th, this is where we're hopefully going to be able to start doing the monthly data feeds that we've been talking about. We've been working a lot on those, and hopefully we'll be able to see our first monthly submissions by June 15th. We understand that you guys have a lot of stuff that's going on, and so we're just kind of trying to adjust the schedule a little bit more so that data submissions can start on June 15th versus May 15th. So again, we're going to submit the data once the data share agreement has been fully executed to Kent County Health Department. So we're not going to do any data submissions before the data share agreement is done. And once those data share agreements are executed, then we can get through and start doing those submissions. As we've kind of talked about before, this is kind of specifically the individual level data submissions for the children and expectant parents. And this is since the beginning of your contract term. So we are going to be doing a little bit of backdating when it comes to the data that we're going to be receiving. And you guys will be submitting it via secure link. Neil Torrens from the Kent County Health Department is going to be doing that work. Make sure you're submitting it in a CSV file format. and Neil will get in touch with you. And a big thing for that is that for him to get in touch with all of you, we do have a survey out there that we have kind of been talking about a little bit. I believe we had sent it to your email, or we had it sent, we have been talking about it in our different quality improvement consortium meetings, our quick meetings. If you do need another copy of that, another link for that, let us know. It's extremely important that we get those because once we get all of the names of individuals that we're going to be sending those links to for the Kent County Health Department, we'll be handing that over to Neil, and he will be able to get in touch with you. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit difficult for us to get you those data links so that you can submit your data when the time comes. And then other kind of updates, I believe. Yeah, I think actually, Heather, if you want to go to the next slide real quick, and then I'll talk a little bit more about those. Right. Kind of other new updates. I think as of today, I don't know if it's gotten put up more to the Millage portal yet, but I know it's ready. I did a video last week explaining all of the different data documents that are currently on the Millage portal. So I explained kind of the different pieces, how to use them, and how they all kind of work together. So if you've had any confusion about the data documents, or how do these work with these, and how does it all kind of fit together, and how does this work in our final submission process, I hope that video can be a little bit helpful in me explaining the different pieces of those. That's kind of the biggest updates, I believe. And just, yeah, reach out to me if you have any questions about your data work, about kind of the data pieces as well, as we're kind of inching more closely to those monthly submissions being finalized. I don't think I'm missing anything, unless Heather, there's something I forgot. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all the data updates we have. Biggest things, again, get those data share agreements looked at and reviewed, try to get your informed consent finalized, and fill out the survey that we have. And again, let us know if you need that link again. And once all those kind of things are done, we'll be ready, hopefully, by June 15th to get data submissions completed.
Thanks, Tyler. On Ready by Five's side, that's pretty much the updates that we have for you today. Again, just to recap a couple of things real quick, the invoice form will be sent to your organization's financial person from Kati. So if you do not receive that, please reach out. As we mentioned at the beginning, all meeting material will be posted on the Millage portal from this meeting, including a recording. And we'll be putting together a summary sheet of all these rates as well that you will find posted there. You'll also find a different survey than what Tyler mentioned, but if you want to give feedback on this meeting and let us know what you liked and how we could improve, there's the opportunity to do that as well. With that, are there any questions? I did see one question pop up in the chat, and it asked, are COVID services separate or in addition to what we would normally be invoicing for? And we may have answered this question, but just to make sure we did. So the COVID services would be in addition. So programs would invoice for the services that are outlined in their service provider contract as much as possible. And we are recognizing that fully invoicing for most services is not a reality in the COVID world. So in addition to the services that you can provide, if any, you may also invoice for these separate or for these additional rates. So in addition to providing, let's say, that home visit, if there's staff and they have time to do professional development and they participate in that, and they put together a couple of activities and they do some deliveries with families, they would be able to invoice for all 3 of those services, but only up to the monthly maximum. So are there additional questions out there we can try to answer? Okay, well, please take a moment to review the information. And I know it's a lot. Please reach out with specific questions about how it would apply with your program, how the invoicing would work. And if there's any other specific questions that you have. Oh, let's see here. There might be one more in the chat box. Maybe we'll give everybody just a moment more, just in case there's any last moment questions. Okay.
Hey, Heather,
Yes.
this is Shanae. I'm sorry I can't get my chat to work here, but anyways, I just wanted to say that the COVID piece is pretty incredible and just an excellent innovation. So I just wanted to say that.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. I did see another question come through asking when these codes start. So the codes start May 1. Everybody has had the opportunity to fully bill for their maximum monthly rates for the months of March and April. And now beginning May, programs should be a little more established and will now be able to provide for these COVID rates and any typical unit rate as defined in your service provider agreement. Okay. Well, please continue to reach out. We will close this meeting, and we had a quick message for everybody. All of our fearless partners. We just wanted to say, may the 4th be with you, and keep up with the good work. Please continue to reach out with questions, and thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, everybody.